Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode number 100, the big 100 of the Play to Win podcast, a show where we break down the week's biggest gaming news through in-depth discussion. My name is Tyler. I'm your host this week. And of course, I am joined by my cool co-host over here, Tyler. How are you doing, dude? Been a nice week.
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. My eyes right now, they're like, we needed 2 more hours of sleep. And I'm like, I know you guys did, but guess what? We had stuff to do this morning. So I'm sorry.
I feel that deep in my bones. Running off of 3.5 hours of sleep. Yeah, I feel the body being like, please let us have more.
Right. And it's like after we record, it's like, all right, time to go get your hair cut because I got to go do that today. So it's like, all right, I'm not going to be able to actually rest until maybe, who knows, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Like it's going to be a couple hours before me would actually rest. But it'll be fine. I'll manage. Are you going to manage? I know you got
yeah.
sleep.
Oh yeah. All I have to do technically is get through this episode. But my problem is sometimes I'm not tired. So let's see. I'd almost rather be tired at the end of this so I can just go crash. Because if I'm not tired, I'm like, well, I gotta go do something to get myself tired.
Let me just go run a mile real quick. Let me go run a mile.
Run a mile, run some errands, do all this shit. Then you'll be tired again.
Chug an energy drink just to make my body crash.
I'm out of my I should have gone last night to the store, but I was also tired and I didn't want to go, and now I have no Monster. Damn it.
No monsters. The hat got lost.
Yeah, I know. My beanie's lost. I'm just been a week, There's been more other stuff other than I don't want to make it seem like that. Actually, those are the things that made my week hard. That I had the easiest week ever, but no.
Oh man. Well, I'm good to have you here for episode 100. It's gonna be a fun episode. Remember, subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. On YouTube, hit that notification bell. On podcast services, leave a 5-star review. Let us know, in the comments section and in the review, how you all have enjoyed the show so far. We made it to 100 episodes. Honestly, I think it's been a fun run. It's been great getting to this point. With Kieran and with you, it's been interesting. It's been just interesting going on this road, this journey of doing podcasts and all like that. It's been fun getting here, though. It's been fun getting here and looking forward to where the future takes us and all like that, so to speak. Now, that said,
hopefully money, sponsorships. That's what you want, right? That's what I wish for everyone that has a good podcast. I say good. There's a lot of bad ones out there, but
right, exactly. And I think personally that this is a good one. I think so. Now, this week we have a couple of things to talk about. Honestly, I don't think we'll get too in depth in the weeds with some of these, just because of the story and our basis, our level of knowledge on certain things for them, but could still maybe bring up interesting conversations. One of those things where we talk about a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, which I am very excited about. It's not the first story on the list, but we'll be talking about that. Unreal Editor for Fortnite is coming and is looking to completely blow Fortnite up in a whole different way. We're going to do a little thing after all the news stories called the Monkey's Paw, which I thought of yesterday, and that should be a fun little segment right there. But first, we're going to talk about the CMA, the UK's Consumers and Markets Authority, changing their position kind of sort of on Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So up until now, they've been against it, like, no, we don't want it to happen. They've had strong concerns in regards to the cloud side of things, in regards to the Call of Duty side of things. And now they're kind of changing the tune a little bit. After reviewing some new information they received following their provisional findings back in February, the CMA no longer believes that Microsoft will make Call of Duty exclusive after they acquire Activision Blizzard, as the negatives of doing so would outweigh the positives of doing so, i.e., yeah, you make it exclusive, you'll make way less money than you would if it was on PlayStation. So because of that, the Call of Duty side of things, that's no longer an issue for them with the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. As of right now, they're like, you know what? We're fine with that. We're okay with that. they still have concerns with the cloud side of things, with the cloud gaming side of things. They still have concerns like maybe, you all could still end up becoming either not necessarily a monopoly in the cloud gaming side of things, but maybe just having so much power that like you're kind of too powerful. Um, but they're still going to release their final verdict by April 26th. And right now, after I heard the story break, I think this news broke Thursday or Friday. And after it broke, I was like, man, okay, not necessarily. I guess I was a bit surprised, not too surprised though. Um, I don't know. I think maybe it's because I'm over this story and I'm just like, I want this to be done. Whatever happens,
I'm
happens at this point.
I'm so incredibly over this story. I was like, I see you want to eat your vegetables first here as far as news stories go.
Yes, yes, that was precisely why
But
I
I
was so
thought of a
first.
fun new game to make this story relevant. All right. How big was the check that arrived at the door of the head of the CMA that Phil Spencer sent him? We guessing how much would it take you to I don't know what the salary of this individual may be, but it would probably take a couple mil at least to sway my personal interests if I was them. So that's the only fun part of this news story anymore, is guessing how much people are getting bribed to just let this fucking merger happen. Because I'm so done with it. Like, I could care less. It's just, I do think it's interesting that they're like, there's no promises that have to be made here. And they're like, well, Microsoft, it's not in their best interest. Is Microsoft just gonna be petty after this is all said and done? And if they don't end up having to make any kind of deal with Sony, are they just gonna pull the rug from under their feet?
Mhm.
Or are they just, but then at the same time, is that a lack of fiduciary duty or whatever that's called, where it's basically like company that has shareholders is obligated to do the thing that makes the most money? Because obviously that is print money with selling copies to PlayStation for Call of Duty. Um,
Right. You
so
see, and that's something I've wondered about this because honestly, one of the things I was thinking was, okay, once this got announced, I was like, all right, it's seeming a bit more likely that the acquisition will go through. Because I mean, although this is with the UK, there's still the European Union and the FTC here in the US where they gotta get approval and stuff. But like, okay, if it's getting seemingly more approved by the CMA, maybe it'll get more approved by the other regulatory bodies as well. Um, but this made me wonder, like, okay, it's only a matter of time before like Sony likely signs a deal. Like, you know what? All right, we're kind of, the wound is starting to get a bit larger. We might need to seal this up before it's a bit too late. So I kind of wonder, I think so. It's likely Sony will sign it. So when will they sign the deal, that 10-year deal? And B, if they don't sign the deal and the acquisition goes through, what would Microsoft do? Would they still say, hey, remember Valve? They didn't want a deal, and they're fine with it. We're gonna, still be honest and keep it over on PlayStation, or are they gonna be like, you all didn't sign a deal and you gave us a bunch of trouble. COD 2024 is not going to be on PlayStation. Like, I
yeah, it would
wonder
be,
what, like, that would be really bad and petty, but they could
well,
do it. You know what I mean?
2024 specifically, you would have to assume that's already being coded and developed for PlayStation systems. So it would, man, that would be like really, really resource wasteful and time and money wasteful. I think maybe
Maybe, but I mean, at the same,
2026, or because I think
maybe
they're doing every other year, right?
I mean, who knows at this point what the status of Call of Duty's development is going to be. But I mean, one of the devs, I think the director on Redfall, he came out and said that, hey, a PS5 version was in development. But then once we got acquired, Microsoft said, yeah, no, we're not doing PlayStation 5, just Xbox and PC. So I mean, if it's far enough out, like 2024, that's still a whole year and change from when the game will be released. Say the acquisition goes through in June of this year, right? That's still a year and 3 months before it's supposed to actually come out. Like, they could easily be like, and Xbox only. Like, they could. It's not like, that's why I said
They could. I'm
2024,
just
not
saying,
this
like,
year.
they had to put this in development, if unless there's a 2023 version. But we don't know that. Like, that's honestly not clear. So maybe there's not, maybe it's 20 been pushed to 2024 because Microsoft's, oh, you don't have to, do it every year, and we're gonna let you guys kind of like breathe and do some other things if you want. But I think it's interesting because it's like they had to make that call a while ago for the 2024 edition, especially if it's the next one. But even if it's just next year's version, and there is going to be one this year, like that's already, that development's underway. Um,
Yeah.
and I know if someone said that like, oh, it's just for like realistically, Microsoft was not allowed to make that call at first just because of they knew that there was like a pending merge. They knew this wasn't going to be automatic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I do wonder, what they would do. But I think at this point, I'm not going to be surprised if one day we end up hearing Sony signed the deal, and then we get like a joint company statement, like,
Yeah,
hey, that'll be really funny when we get that statement from the Sony side of things, like, you know what, we were against this for a while, but then one day, Phil Spencer just talked to us, and he helped us see the light, kind of. So just like, all right, that statement is gonna be really funny, and just like we were throwing a hissy fit, but
I
actually,
hope it's
it's
as
not a
passive
bad thing.
aggressive as humanly possible.
I want it to be. I want them to be like, you know what, PlayStation gamers, we were trying to do things for you, but we were left no choice by Big Daddy Microsoft over here. Those
I think
bastards.
I think like don't get me wrong, as a consumer, you want everything to work within itself as much as humanly possible to save yourself money, convenience, etc. I think from just a personal interest standpoint, it's the most hilarious if these companies hate each other. Like it just is. It like if
Mhm.
they're just it's all passive aggressive. What's his name? Was it Herman Holst? I forget which one. That's like, I don't want a deal. I want to block
Oh,
your
Jim
merger.
Ryan.
Like Jim Ryan. Yeah. I love that shit. I think it's hilarious. It's the Sega does when a 10 don't, all that. Like it's in the video game industry's DNA, just a bunch of companies that don't like each other purely because they're competition. Um, like I don't know, because if Microsoft, I mean, like if Coke and Pepsi were like it'd make it more funnier if they were like more passive aggressive than whatever they're doing now. It's just like, oh, we exist, but we just pretend like the competition doesn't, which is more weird to me than just being like, yeah, I fucking hate that
Yeah, like
guy.
I mean, like I'm all down for like the more positive, gaming industry that we're in now, because the way it was back then, if
Oh
that
yeah,
was,
it got
if how it was back then is how it was now, with the age of the internet and Reddit and Twitter, and dear Lord, fanboyism would be a hot mess. The gaming industry would be just absolute chaos. But
that's
maybe I'd be down for like a little tiny bit of passive
well.
aggressiveness, maybe a
Notice
little
I
bit.
said from the companies, not like again as consumers. What? Don't be a weirdo. Don't like care about it. It's like I want it to be more, I guess, the appeal of wrestling is that it's all fake and it's just funny and dramatic. Like that's more what I want out of it. Just like this is all fun to watch and just observe, not like I actively care or give a shit about,
I
oh
guess
my
it.
God, this guy plays Xbox or whatever instead. Like who cares? Like who
I guess
cares?
if it's coming from the companies, it would depend. It would really depend on who is saying it and what's being said and how it's being said. Because like I think about the woman from Activision Blizzard, the Lulu lady. I'm blanking on her actual name, but who posted that meme on Twitter of like Sony, like, oh, Microsoft's doing this, putting the sticking from the bicycle, making themselves fall over thing. Like, oh man, how can Microsoft's blaming us? So like, if this is all Microsoft's fault, like she posted some meme. It was really stupid, and I was like, oh, like no, like why are you posting this? Like you're like the executive at the company, and like it was like it's very different from the this is how you share games. Thank you type thing. It's very different from that. It just gave off a totally different vibe where I was just like, yeah, no, no, no. And it wasn't even the first time she had done some type of passive aggressive thing. Like even before that, she had posted a thing like, hey, FTC, Sony has you see how good the Sony's The Last of Us show is doing? They have great IP that could do so well, multimedia and so on and so forth. Sony, when it comes to this stuff, Sony is the first of us. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we doing this? So, like, I don't know. Passive aggressive stuff, it could be interesting. It could be funny and exciting, just depending on the
No,
who, the what, the
I want
how.
it straight from the company. I don't want some weird employee posting a dumb meme.
Oh, man. All right. Let's get off of that Activision Blizzard stuff. The vegetables are done. Let's get into our nice entree. I'm gonna call this entree our. Do you like fish? Like eating
No,
seafood?
not. I like seafood. I'm not a big fish person.
So you're not salmon? No salmon?
Salmon's fine. I don't
Okay.
think it's gross or anything, but yeah, it's
All
whatever.
right. So we're gonna have
It's how I
ourselves.
feel about this story, basically.
Okay, we're gonna have ourselves a nice grilled salmon right here because this just speaks to me. We are getting apparently a God of War inspired Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game based on the story The Last Ronin, which is so freaking cool. This is super
Yeah,
cool. Have you heard about this story, The Last Ronin?
I I've no, so I have not heard of this the last Ronin. Also, I want to clarify real quick. I'm looking at our I was looking at the top part of our breakdown. So I thought this was the Unreal editor for Fortnite. To be clear, this game sounds cooler than Salmon to me. I just want to clarify that in case what for whatever reason it catches fire and it's like this guy does whatever. This is what he thinks of it. I
No,
don't
no, no.
yeah, this game seems cool.
No, no. I the way I have things at the top, that's just how I'm gonna like
Oh,
how I
okay.
explain the preview of everything, but the order of things may or may not be different.
Okay.
But no. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin, was gonna be getting a game adaptation. This came straight from Doug Rosen, who is the senior vice president for games and emerging media at Paramount Global. He said he spoke this, revealed this news to Polygon in an interview. I'm not, quoting specifically here, but going from the Polygon article, the game will apparently be authentic to the graphic novel that it's based on. For those who don't know, the Last Ronin story, it takes place in the future of the Ninja Turtles world. It's like a kind of like a one-off story of sorts in the future, where only one of the turtles is alive. All the other turtles and Master Splinter were killed by the Foot Clan. And this surviving turtle, they're in New York City. New York City is being run and ruled by a member of the Foot Clan. And the surviving turtle is trying to kill. they're trying to kill the Foot Clan leader there, get revenge for the deaths of their family and everything. And it's super cool. So like I heard about it years ago, never read it, and I was like I always wanted to. So then that's the premise of the story. Um, Although the game is going to be centered around, it's going to be authentic to the novel and centered around this one surviving turtle. Other characters could be playable in flashbacks. So I'm not going to reveal the identity of the surviving turtle. It gets revealed at the end of the first issue. But although you play as that one in the flashbacks, everyone is there. So you might be playing as them in the flashbacks. This game is years away, though. It is being made by some team. We don't know who. Doug Rosen knows, but we don't know who. And he says the team is the right fit for the project. Now, before we get into speculation of who do we think would be the right fit for this project, this God of War inspired Ninja Turtles game, Tyler, The Last Ronin, just that premise for a Ninja Turtles story, does that interest you? How interested are you in that premise?
It sounds cooler than like I'm not a big Ninja Turtles guy, and that's not
Okay.
like they're lame or anything. It's just like I didn't grow up with a ton of Ninja Turtles stuff. I grew up in '93, so like I think I watched some of the show, but the movies were pretty much like not cool anymore by the time I started. Like kids my age weren't necessarily watching them. At least they didn't talk about it when we were at school, and it's like my parents, don't really have any attachment to them, so they weren't like watch this, like this blah blah blah. So ultimately, it was like left up to me, and it's like I don't hate them. I think they're cool, but for the most part, it's like there's nothing that really like draws me in. So it sounds cool. I mean, obviously, I'm more willing to like watch it had it been a film adaptation or something, or of course play it now as a game. So like I dig it. I think it's funny now that the God of War, if like I can see how there's some parallels, but I honestly just think they're like God of Warring it as shorthand for like taking something that was unserious and making it serious. Is that like what it's going to become shorthand for now? Like we're going to
I
make a God of War style.
Well, I think they mean more so in terms of gameplay. Um, because
Maybe, I
this
guess I could see that.
because the story, it's actually like it's a graphic adult story. It's still like, I mean, it's also based like I've never read the Ninja Turtles comics. Okay. So like the IDW comics, I never read those. So I don't know how adult or graphic they are in comparison to the shows. But if your only exposure to Ninja Turtles is the cartoons or the live action movies that we've gotten. The
Fun fact:
Last
I haven't
Ronin,
seen the Michael Bay films.
I like the Michael. I saw the first one. I haven't seen the second one, but I liked it. I thought it was fine. But the Last Ronin is very different in terms of tone from the Ten Ninja Turtles that most people might think of, where it's more playful and kid friendly and
Yeah,
colorful and all like that. This is like no, this
no,
is
I definitely got the vibe just from the story that it's like it's more serious. But that's what's funny about it is it's like the God of Warification. I take it as that's what he means, but ultimately they already had that, so it's not a God of Warification. I mean, maybe the combat plays similar, but I don't know. I like God of War didn't invent 3D action games, and also it definitely didn't invent the Soul style. You know what I mean? The slower, um,
yeah.
more methodical. So I don't know. It's just funny. I think it's like buzzword soup is really all it is.
Yeah, and you see, like I'm sitting here thinking to myself, all right, who do we think would be the right fit for this project, right? And they say God of War inspired Ninja Turtles game, and I'm left wondering, I'm like, who like I'm trying to think of a team that would do that. I'm like, would it be funny if they just said, "Hey, Sony Santa Monica, make that
I
game,
that
but
that
with
was about to
us."
be my answer jokingly. I was like, I know a studio that just got done with a very similar style of game.
They made the exact same one. Why don't you just change, change the character models, and there you go. Um, but when answer I actually thought of, and this would end up being a God of War style one, but would be a different style, which I think might work better. I thought Platinum Games or Capcom, because I'm thinking
So
like
here's the
in
thing.
terms of like character action and thinking about the story that we get here
If
and the action that we get from it, because the surviving turtle uses everyone's weapons. He doesn't just use his own, he uses the swords, the size, the staff, the nunchucks, all of them. And it's super cool seeing that. So like I feel like Platinum or Capcom thinking like Devil May Cry, Near Automata, like that type of gameplay, I feel like would work really well
if it's
for a
plat
Ninja Turtles game like this.
if it's platinum, we need assurances that this is the A team, not
That's why I
because
said Near Automata.
we've gotten a platinum Ninja Turtles game
That is true. We have.
and it wasn't good.
We would need this to be the Near Automata team, not the
Yeah,
other team,
but see,
not
I
the
don't know.
Legend of
Yeah,
Korra one.
maybe that could work. I mean, it's nowhere near God of War like in its approach, but
I know, but that's why I'm thinking like I feel
wouldn't
like
this be
maybe a different
hilarious if it was
style
from
instead.
software? Like that
Wow,
would be so funny.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, the
That would be
kings of third
wild.
person action games, man, you know?
That would be wild.
Well, there, I mean, whatever, however you want to view Souls, because it's obviously its own niche. It's not just action, it's much more deep
Yeah.
than that and harder. But it, like, wouldn't it be funny if they were just like, hey, can you guys make like your game meets God of War meets Ninja Turtles? And if FromSoft was like, yeah, we'll do that.
What about this? What if, and I know this isn't going to happen, but what if it was Sucker Punch? They said, "Hey, Sucker Punch, you made a samurai game. Why don't you make a Ninja Turtles game?"
I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, so I don't know how the combat would match up, but I could see that work. But like, do they have their studio expanded enough that they'd have a B team? Because they've
Exactly.
been
That's the
pretty
thing.
open about where working on Tsushima sequel.
Right. Like I don't imagine it would be them because I'm sure they're knee deep in Ghost of Tsushima's sequel, whatever that game's going to be
And I'm
called.
also guessing that would mean exclusivity to PlayStation versus
Right.
because I think isn't Sony at this point isn't Sucker Punch officially a Sony studio?
Yeah. They have been
Yeah,
since
so
2011, if I'm right.
would Paramount even want to do that? I mean, maybe if the studio they want to work, maybe if they're like, we need to work with the studio, they'd be willing to do exclusive. But I assume they want as much money as possible, so they're going to want a third party. But who knows?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other team could do it. Like I'm thinking Capcom could make a sick one. And like at this point, I'm just trying to think like, okay, not even a strictly God of War style, like God of War style type
I'm just
of
thinking anybody
Ninja
that
Turtles
does
game.
3D action at all.
Right. That's what
I'm
I'm
trying to
trying to
think.
think of. Um, let's see. Square Enix, maybe? Square Enix,
God,
they could do
I think they
some.
should have lost the trust. Like if Square Enix approaches you for any American IP, just run. Like it's so
You
bad right now. It's just it's not
didn't
in a
like
good place.
Guardians?
I did like Guardians, but I mean one good one versus like I just the fiasco from Avengers alone should let you know that maybe don't trust maybe don't trust Square Enix as a whole with your projects. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Um, I'm trying to think about Western developers who could pump out a good.
And to be fair, I'm not saying Japanese developers can't do it. I've already propositioned from software here. I'm just
No,
saying
I know
Square
you
Enix
weren't.
specifically.
No, I know you were. I know you were. But those are like the Japanese developers that just came
It
to mind
is, yeah.
automatically. So I'm
It
trying to
does
think of
feel like
outside.
more of a Western studio thing, just because it seems like that's where so much of the reverence for Turtles comes from.
Yeah, I thought about Ninja Theory actually briefly, because they
Maybe,
they
yeah,
did
I could see
DMC
that.
back in the day. But again, they're knees deep in Hellblade, so like
And
it's not going to
also
happen.
would come with exclusivity.
There's also that aspect of things too, which I didn't think about. Um,
My money's on it as developer that's a little smaller, that's like maybe under everyone's radar.
what if it was Ubisoft?
It could, man. Oh God, I don't want it to be
The
Ubisoft.
monkeys, poor girls, right there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3D action game made by Ubisoft.
I mean, I'm trying to think who Paramount's had properties with, but like they did the SpongeBob games. Obviously, those aren't the same, but it's like who would they have relationships with? That's like THQ Nordic. Is the Biomutant team doing anything?
Do we want the Biomutant team to do
I'm
this?
not saying that that's. I'm trying to be realistic about who it could
Yeah.
be. Um,
I don't know what they're
like if
doing
I'm
right
throwing darts at a dartboard, that would probably be my guess right now. The more I think about it, because I'm trying to think of like who have they fostered relationships with, and because like all the big dream casting, the studio casting ones here, um, I just don't think any of them. It's not that they don't like turtles. It's just that they're all kind of busy on pre-established projects. And so it's like, okay, who do they have a good business relationship with that if you squint right, you tell yourself, oh, well, Biomutant could have been successful if XYZ. Maybe it's more resources, maybe it's this. And so, and plus it's 3D action, but it's um I could easily see them being like, yeah, well, if we give them this much time, this much money equals maybe a better game. I don't know. And I think that's like inherently the risky part, which is why when there's stuff like this thrown out there, I'm always like, let me see the trailer. I'll be the judge if this looks good or not.
Real quick, I just thought about this. You mentioned the exclusivity thing, but like that kind of gets balanced out on both sides of the coin by one, if it's exclusive on PlayStation has like a big install base. People would buy it off that alone. Like you'd make your money back off that alone right there. And then
Yeah.
on the Xbox side of things, it's the factor. So it's going to be played by millions of people right off bat, and you'll get the money, you'll get the upfront pay buy-in from Microsoft because it's getting put on Game Pass. So with that in mind, like honestly, I could see it being exclusive to either one, and it wouldn't be on Ninja Theory because again, knees deep in Hellblade, but and I don't think it's this team either. But what if it was Tango? And I say that because of Hi-Fi Rush and how good Hi-Fi Rush was.
Yeah, I could see that because they do 3D action stuff just in general. I mean, Hi-Fi Rush was a banger for sure. Uh, I would be excited because I think that was by far their best game, and so it'd be interesting to see them now get Turtles. That's one that like I would want. I would feel like okay, this game should be good now. Um,
Yeah,
but again, I just realistically also Microsoft has to make up for sales unless
true.
Microsoft agrees as part of it is like we want this game and we want to make sure it shows up on our platform if they allow it to be released on Sony systems. I don't know, is Paramount down bad enough to like risk losing potential sales just for an upfront payment? I don't know. And
But I
also how
mean,
long
I
can
mean, Microsoft
Microsoft
Microsoft is getting that Indiana Jones game. So, and Indiana Jones is from Lucasfilm and Disney, and you admit that's already a bigger IP and a holding company than Paramount and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
So
but
nothing's out
this
the
is
realm of
clearly
possibility.
Disney's strategy is like, hey, we're gonna work out deals and give this to you and this to you and this to you. Whereas, like, if you think about it, like, what is Paramount? what other IP does Paramount have that's like video game ripe where they can go, oh, hey, we're so sorry, Sony, we're giving this to Microsoft. Um, do you want? And it's like Sony's like, no, fuck that. You're burning a bridge here. Like I assume, I mean, like it's not quite that, but it's like that's something they will keep in mind and move forward. Like I generally think they don't want to sour those business relationships, and I don't think they have the leverage that a Disney has.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be. I'm
Gun in
curious.
my head, BioWare team or not BioWare, Biomutant team is my guess.
You think it's them? I'm trying to look at like the games I have over here, just like to get ideas for
You're like
possible teams.
anybody but them, please.
Well, no, just because I'm trying to think of like what teams could do this. Um, and it doesn't help that like off the top of my head, I can't think of like a whole lot of third party teams that could possibly do it. Um, like again, I thought about Ubisoft. Maybe a team at EA could do it. I'm just not sure who at EA would even do it because they're all like busy on things as well. And I don't know who would be the fit over there. Um, I'm not sure who from 2K or Take Two would do it. Maybe a Gearbox. Ooh, what if Gearbox did it?
Buddy, it's I they have announced nothing, and that game released in 2021, and there was a PS5 port. You said a few years away. That's not. If you're starting a game from scratch, we're talking probably 4 or 5. A few means it's been in development for a year, maybe 2, I think, possibly even 3. All the Biomutant team, which is I don't want to be too mean, Experiment 101 here. They haven't released shit other than PS5 and Xbox Series X, Xbox Series X ports of Biomutant since 2021. I would bet money that this is who's developing this game.
You know what?
Run from it. What is this Thanos quote? Is like it's run from it.
You know what? I hope you're right just so that you could be like, I predict this back in 2023.
This is going to be the greatest callback clip ever. Yeah, we're just going to have the podcast dated and everything. And then
I hope you are right, just for that level alone.
For that moment, yeah.
Yes.
You're like, but for the game's enjoyment, I hope you're right.
For the game enjoyment, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure about that one, Chief.
When you think the world's clamoring for a Biomutant sequel? No, they're not doing shit. THQ and THQ, what do they love? THQ's Nordic, what do they love to do? Attach themselves to IP. They have the fostered business relationship with Paramount Plus. This studio did 3D action, whether you like it or not. It's not like the production quality looked like it was hot garbage or something. It was a game. It had a lot of flaws, but ultimately, I guarantee Paramount, they probably got it way cheaper to like do a deal with them than like, I'm sure they had to give way bigger a cut if you're giving it to a different studio. Like there's just a lot of reasons I would personally bet that, and then they haven't been doing anything, which I know lots of studios don't, reveal what they're doing, but like every other studio, there's just too much that we know they're doing. There's too much, potential conflict of interest with exclusivity. This just makes all the sense in the world.
You make good points. You make good points there.
I cracked the case, folks.
I think you might have cracked the case there. Just to be different. Just to be
this,
different.
or it's a smaller studio would be my bet. If it's somehow a smaller studio that's worked on even smaller games, ultimately there's no way to predict that. But yeah, I'm just following the cookie crumbs here.
Just to be different, I'm gonna say Gearbox. Just to be different. Okay, because I could see Gearbox. Yeah, it'd be different for them like tonally and stylistically, but I think I can see Gearbox doing it and maybe doing it well. If not them, maybe Slow Clap, the guys who did Sifu, but I don't think that's gonna go to like an indie team because they're saying this is a AAA game. And that's also a thing. Since it's supposed to be AAA, I don't think of THQ Nordic as a AAA team. I think of them more as like a AA. Or at least whatever team it was that made Biomutant, if it was a THQ.
Who in the world, like, I don't think the team at Biomutant would have described a Biomutant as AA. Do you?
Probably.
No, they wouldn't. And you're trying to avoid. You're trying to run from the truth here.
I'm not trying to run from the truth. Okay.
Also, to be fair, if you just say like, "Hey, we gave a AA studio more money," you call it a AAA game. Like that's all. I'm sure that's how a lot of people in the industry just view it. Like, if there's people in the industry that view what they did as Biomutant as a first game, good work that like is a stepping stone. I promise you, there's people that think that. I'm not saying I do. I've never played Biomutant, and the reception makes me, somewhat doubtful of that. But I promise you, there are people in the industry that view it that way.
Okay.
And the more and more that comes out of my mouth, the more I realize either like, oh, it's a funny goof, but I'm gonna look like fucking Messiah if this is right. Just like laying out all the reasons.
Just got hit with the ball of prophecy. Just give it the gift of
YouTube
prophecy.
comments are just gonna be like, can this guy give us the lottery numbers?
Shoot, give me the lottery numbers.
Yeah, I
Give
know.
me the key to
I think I'd be
everything.
using this power for dumbass game predictions if I knew.
Oh man! All right, we gotta wait. We gotta wait a bit. Who
Yeah.
knows how long we gotta wait? Hopefully, we'll find out before the end of this year. But I'm excited about this game. The story was great. I actually, like I said, I want to read the story for years after it first came out, but I didn't read it until Friday night because I was like, okay, this is a story we're talking about. I need to at least know who the turtle was who like the story centered around. That way, I don't get spoiled or anything. I read the entire story because only 5 issues, so I found it online, read the whole thing. It's a good story. It's a great story. I really enjoyed it. And I
Oh,
think
so
there's
you
a
went
lot
and
of
you read it
possibilities.
all?
Yeah, I read it online on Friday. It's a good story.
Wow. Yeah, that's
I
quick.
enjoyed it. So I was like, all right, cool. This is what we're getting. I'm down for this. I'm down for the getting down. Looking forward to seeing just story brought to life in a different way.
You've now had it spoiled for yourself, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I wanted it to be spoiled for me because I like the surviving turtle. That is a key mystery, and that's a key thing
Yeah.
to spoil. So I didn't want that spoiled for me without before it came out. I was like, no, what? I want to read it myself. I've been wanting to for a while, so I did the thing. All right, story number 3 here. It's an interesting one. I don't know how much we have to say about it, but it is really interesting and fascinating though. So Epic, GDC just happened this week, and Epic they had a panel talking about Unreal Engine and other things coming along with it and stuff. One thing that they showed though or talked about was Unreal Editor coming to Fortnite, and on this version of Unreal Editor that they're putting out for Fortnite, they're putting it out alongside a revamp of Fortnite's own creative mode. So giving you more tools in creative mode to make cool stuff. But
Yeah.
the Unreal Editor that they're putting into Fortnite, it's essentially giving creators access to most of the tools that developers themselves use with the full version of Unreal Engine 5. So they showed like two different, they showed like a trailer or video of some sort showing, oh, we made this with the Unreal Editor for Fortnite. And it's essentially like you look at it and it looks like something you would see in a Call of Duty game, like full with cinematics and everything. The environment looks like something you see in a Call of Duty game or like some other military shooter and all like that. Then they said, hey, here's another one. Here's another thing we made. Same environment, except now it's a completely different scenario where we are fighting this giant mech boss and everything.
Yeah.
And then there was another one they showed where like we also made this here, where it's like the character was in a cave, an interesting looking cave, really nicely designed and lit up and everything. And this dragon just appeared and all like that. And they were like, yeah, with the Unreal Editor here, you can make your own assets, pump them in here, use assets from other things that people have made and put them in here. You have access to our lighting tools, texture tools, so on and so forth. It's all really interesting and fascinating stuff. A lot of it is going to go way over our head though,
Yeah,
because
for
we are
sure.
not game devs. We're not, into any of that stuff. But just what interests me the most with this is the fact that Fortnite for a couple of years now has been Epic's thing where they're trying to change. I guess you could say center their business around Fortnite, center gaming around Fortnite, and the future of gaming around Fortnite. Whether that be having screening an exclusive scene for Rise of Skywalker in it. You can watch movies in it. We're having Martin Luther King memorials in it. Educational things, so on and so
Yeah.
forth. Concerts are happening in Fortnite. All these different things happening there. These different crossovers. They want it to be the center they want it to be a metaverse of sorts, but they want it to
Yeah.
be the center of just gaming going forward in so many different ways. And now this, where it's like you can basically make other games inside of Fortnite, I think is wild. Especially when, like, I don't know if you've seen the videos that people
I
have put up
haven't.
from it. But when you see them, it's just like, yes, it is still Fortnite at its core. Like the movement is still Fortnite, the gunplay is still Fortnite. But when you see, oh, like someone could actually make a different game inside of Fortnite if they so chose to. I think
Yeah.
that is really cool and interesting and makes me wonder, like, okay, what are the bigger plans that they have for Fortnite going forward? Like, where is Fortnite going to go from here? Whether it be the player creation side or just anything. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It has me wondering and thinking a lot of things. I mean, what are you thinking? If you have any
Um,
thoughts.
I don't know. I think this kind of stuff like is always cool, but is it, I mean, like this is the same stuff, and we've seen some sick stuff made in Dreams, but like has it had an impact really beyond like some cool stuff being made? Now obviously, Epic with Unreal Engine and everything is bigger. And so I don't doubt that like maybe some of the projects made with this could be like, reach a broader audience and have more scope as far as like who they're, how many people play it, etc. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I don't it's hard to tell how much this stuff moves the needle because I do think some of it's in the weeds as far as like, well, how advanced is it, etc. Like it's hard for us to know that outside of just being impressed by a trailer. But then there's also the like, what does it just catch fire in a way that like, you can predict right now, but ultimately would just be entirely based on luck because I think there's a lot of universes, there's a lot of versions where this just lands with not a thud, but just like it's exactly what I talked about with Dreams, but like maybe a slightly more successful version of that. There's also potentially, I guess, a version where it catches fire and like a lot of people are using it and it becomes an easy, more convenient way for some people to make games. I don't know. So it's just like there's such a broad range of outcomes, and I feel like unqualified to talk about why it won't be successful. That it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's more developer stuff. It's another kit out there, and I'm glad that if some kid thinks that this is how they're going to make games, I'm glad it's accessible, but I don't really know if I have much to contribute about like why it won't be.
That's fair. I'll it's funny you kind of say that, and I don't know if it was in the comments on the Kotaku article I have linked here about it, but someone also mentioned the thing about Dreams. They were like, yeah, but like player creation stuff, it's all cool and everything, but wasn't Dreams that's kind of like Dreams' thing, and Dreams, not to say it landed with a thud, it was already super niche. If you were buying Dreams, you knew what you were getting into. It's
Yeah.
a game meant about get player creation and all like that. So you're not really the stories around Dreams are going to be like, oh, look what this cool person made after many, many months or years of working on it and all like that. It's not like you're going to be hearing all like a bunch of stories about, oh man, this person is now like expanding and doing something big from Dreams or so on and so forth. I think that with this, it'll be bigger than Dreams just off the basis that it's not exclusive to it's not like PlayStation
Yeah, there
exclusive.
is that. Yeah.
It is it is the Unreal Engine, which is I don't know if I'm off base on saying this, but probably like the most prolific game engine out there. Probably, maybe not UE5, but Unreal Engine. Period. So like it's Unreal Engine and it's Fortnite, two of the most popular prolific things in the games industry. So off basis of that alone, it'll be bigger than Dreams. Um, but I mean, you make good points about like how is this going to catch fire? Is this going to be like a big thing? Grants in the grand scheme, the grand green gaming industry, gaming community landscape, and I think the answer is no. Right now, the answer is no. It's still going to be niche because it's definitely something that is going to be appealing to all the people who already do like mods, play game creation type stuff like that. It's already going to be appealing to them. How appealing will it be to the people who have always just thought like,
Yeah.
I wonder what it's like to make a game, or I want to
It
make something like this? Like, will it be appealing to them in any type of way? That's where you're like, I don't know. But I think it's still going to be a big thing.
I don't think so. I think it's fair to say like I don't think the editor itself would be necessarily catch fire. It'd be about, can Epic get the next indie game or indie-ish game made by some, some kids, or it could be adult, but someone that's just like really passionate, and for whatever reason they choose this, that game catches fire. Like for whatever reason, only successful indie game that comes to mind now is Undertale or Minecraft or whatever the fuck it is, but like it doesn't have to be that level of success. But the next, game where everybody on Twitter is talking about it for 3 days, can Epic convince those people that, hey, this is where you can do that? This gives you the highest percentage chance for it to be successful, for it to be that version of that, or even, a power wash simulator, talking about something that I've been playing. I mean, that was made in Unity, you know what I mean? By a
Yeah.
team that had done stuff completely unrelated, but it's been very successful, like probably more successful than they anticipated. And I would say probably their most successful game. Can you convince them that their next game should be made in this instead of Unity? I don't know. I would assume they do regular Unreal Engine, not this, but I don't know. Ultimately, I would think their version of Catching Fire is just, can you convince those people with those kind of aspirations that you should do that here instead of whatever lower tier, not, again, no offense meant there, but just like, obviously you're not shelling out the big bucks for those developing licenses, and you're definitely not making your own engine. So can you be the, like, choice du jour for lower end development aspirations?
Yeah, and I mean, like I said before, like it's still Fortnite at its core. I mean, seemingly to me, like the Unreal editor and Fortnite stuff, whatever you make, is still Fortnite at its core. Like, so I mean, it's still probably going to end up being like a third person shooter of some sort. But I see it as like, all right, let me make a cool game in Fortnite, and then from there, okay, let me try making just a cool game period with Unreal proper. You know what I mean?
Or maybe this is we're missing the forest for the trees here. Maybe the point is that you convince a bunch of kids that making games isn't as hard as you think, and this is all just like it's all just a way to get you hooked in and trust Epic, and now you want to use Unreal Engine instead of those other engines. It's kind of
Exactly.
like I edit with DaVinci Pro, and they give it out for free. You can pay for like a flat fee instead of paying Adobe's bullshit monthly. You can pay a flat fee for the pro version, but they literally give out pro grade software for free. And they've said like their whole thing is, so college kids that are like need high quality editing equipment, whenever they go on to become filmmakers, they go and they buy Blackmagic cameras. They're 4K and they're super expensive stuff. They just give that out for free, this high end editing software, because they've seen enough ROI. When people trust your company now and they go, yeah, I've worked with them, I like what they do, I want their cameras. Maybe this is the video game version of that. Some kid makes a Fortnite mod that's kind of successful, whatever. Whenever they develop, they're like, no, we're using Unreal. We're not going to go use Unity. We're not going to go use whatever else.
Right. I mean, that I think that kind of goes into what the question I have here. Like, I mean, the only other big game I could think of that is doing something like this is Roblox. And I mean, I'm not in the Roblox community. I know not much about Roblox, but I know that with Roblox,
I know that it's
people
huge.
yes, I know it's huge. I know that people make games inside of Roblox. And this, I feel like, is aside from just wanting to make Fortnite into a bigger thing and open up game development to more people, having this being like the gateway drug into game development for many people. This is also kind of a way to kind of try to attack Roblox. Be like, hey, Roblox, we see what you all are doing. Now we're gonna do the same thing with Fortnite, and we know Fortnite is arguably bigger and more popular than Roblox. So maybe we'll get your people
Uh,
doing it in I said arguably again, arguably I don't know for sure, but get your people that play Roblox to come over to Unreal with Fortnite and do it in Fortnite, and then not go back to you. You get what I mean?
I get what you mean. I think the logic there would go, a kid feels like as they get older, they go from whatever 5, 6 to 8 or 9. They think, oh man, my friends are starting to not play Roblox anymore. Maybe we can play they're playing Fortnite or whatever. And they're like, oh, it also has a mode where we can create our own stuff. But I don't know a ton about Roblox. It seems like they make it pretty easy to just throw together a junk game.
Yeah.
So how that's the real question, is like, how easy is this? I don't know. I guess I could try it just for content, but I don't know if I ever will. But if it's easy and approachable enough, otherwise I think it would maybe be more for the purposes of what I said earlier, which is like, hey, just the people we already have in here, the 13-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, because I think there is that kind of age gap as far as like the intended audience. Roblox, while I'm sure there's 15-year-olds and shit playing it, it seems like it's more aiming for just like kid ass kids, not teenagers, whereas Fortnite is like, yeah, kids can play it, but also it feels more like a 13, 14-year-old is going to be on Fortnite than maybe a 7 or 8-year-old. And so, hey, let them get a taste of game development, trust us, and then eventually, if they ever make real games, use Unreal Engine, pay that licensing fee, whatever it may be.
Fair point. I like the conversation we had from that. A bit more. It was way
Nuanced than
more
I thought.
nuanced.
Yeah,
Yeah, way more nuanced I thought it was going to be. But it was a great conversation. Great one for sure. That's it for our news, though. Now we're gonna
yeah, that's it for real stuff.
now we're gonna do a little segment that I thought of yesterday, and then we fleshed it out today, called the monkey's paw. All right, it's exactly what you think it's gonna be. We each thought of like, all right, a different monkey's paw scenario. I have three that I thought of for Tyler. He has a couple that he thought of, and he even has
I
one
have
that he
three
thought
as
of for.
well.
Yeah, he has one also that he thought of for himself. If he still
Mm.
wants to share that one.
Yeah, we got
So
three for you and then one mine.
got it. So I have three for him and none for myself. If I think of one for myself, I'll share. But we're just gonna go back and forth on this. Just share these monkey's paw scenarios and see if we're willing to buy into any of them or not. That'll be interesting for sure. Are you ready to do this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I'll go first. I'll give one of
Okay.
mine that I have for you. All right. This is the one I said I feel like it's an obvious one, but let's see how it goes. Bloodborne 2, it's announced. It's happening. It's from it's either from Software if you want it to, or Blue Point, whoever you want it to be from. It's happening. It's a thing, but it's a live service game.
Yeah, that I felt, you know, it's interesting because I have one that's similar, but it's not the one I'm gonna do next first. God, that would be a kick in the balls, that's for sure. I mean, for the record, I would want FromSoft to make it. I wouldn't be mad. Like, I wouldn't be. It would be weird. It'd be a weird feeling if Blue Point made it, but
Yeah.
that could be its own monkey's paw in a way if you're very anti Blue Point. For me, it's whatever. But I would prefer FromSoft, but I just want Bloodborne too. I don't even know. Like, it breaks my brain trying to think. This is the point, obviously, of this exercise, but it breaks my brain trying to think of how that would even be fucking live service game. Oh, it's just it feels so wrong. Like,
Yeah, just like think of it. It's like, so think about Bloodborne, right? You start the game in Yarnum. The whole place is Yarnum or whatever,
yeah,
wherever your area you started. Think of it, that's your first area, right? And up to Farther Gascione. That's like your first area. And that's all you have for like the first month. It's like season 2, you get to go to the next area. And then you have a battle pass that gives you like different cosmetic stuff or different other weapons to use and
it
everything and like that.
it being episodic was not something I thought of, but that would be funny. Yeah, like just a new area every whatever
That's I
two
mean,
3 months, the same way a Fortnite season works, or how
yeah.
Um, yeah, it'd just be weird. It would feel gross. I like. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's an interesting template for a Souls-like game to do that, right? Because it's probably. I mean, it gives you. It's making episodic work and then also throwing in the monetization, which sucks, but it's the real. A lot of games have to do it. Um, but like, there's an interesting version of that. Keep it the fuck away from Bloodborne, please.
So you do not want Bloodborne 2 as a
No, I
live service
don't.
game.
So now I have one for you here. And I think this is the funniest template because you could say it for anything, and I feel like both of us would have the same reaction.
Okay.
Okay. So Kingdom Hearts 4 has a way
Okay.
sooner release date than expected,
Okay.
but is PSVR 2 / PC exclusive. I put
Oh.
PC because my main goal was let's make it as hard as shit for him to play either way. But PSVR 2 is objectively the most hilarious one ever. Like, if the only way you could play this game was by buying a $500 dead weight VR thing.
I'm buying it. I'm buying it. It's as
All right,
simple as that.
if it's PC exclusive, how big of a gaming PC are you?
If it's PC exclusive, then I have to weigh my options. Like, okay, this is Kingdom Hearts 4 here. What do I need to do
Are you
to
buying a
buy?
Steam Deck? Is that the cheapest way to get this thing
Like,
in your
am
hands?
I getting a Steam Deck, or am I gonna have to rearrange things in my room and in my life to afford a gaming PC that can run Kingdom Hearts 4? If it's PSVR 2 exclusive, I'm buying a PSVR 2. And I here's the thing. I would make that, like, yeah, my room might not have the best setup for it, but I feel like I can still make that work. And also it would give me the dream of, okay, I'm physically there in Kingdom Hearts. That would be super cool. That's that's a monkey's paw, but not as much of a monkey's paw as it being PC exclusive. Because then it's like, oh Jesus Christ, the financial investment I'd have to put in for Kingdom Hearts 4,
I
plus all the PC BS that comes with being a PC gamer, having to deal with that. Oh Lord,
It's
that's
funny
a
too because I thought PSVR 2 is way worse because it's just ultimately useless. At least you'd have use for a PC. At least you could resell it. Who the fuck's buying your used
well. Here's
PSVR
the
2?
well, I want a PSVR 2 regardless.
I
It's
don't
just
want one
like,
until they give me like until they prove there's going to be games for it.
well, here's the thing. I want a PSVR 2 regardless. And Kingdom Hearts 4 would be like, well, I guess it's happening this time this year. I guess it's now.
Which I just want to clarify real quick. The one I made for myself, which is just like it's obvious, but it's funny how it turned from like, well, duh, to and now it's a monkey's paw situation. Is Astrobot Rescue Mission 2? To further, I'm on the record now. I don't want it to be VR. I like it was good enough as like a 3D platformer for the PS5's in packing game that I just want. Please just let that game be a 3D platformer. I do not want PSVR 2 getting its grimy paws all over my beloved franchise. We got one great VR game. We're done. Let's let it just let them cook. Let them make
So it
good
would the monkey's paw for you would be if it was a VR game.
in PSVR. Yeah, just like get it away. It's obvious, but it's also in like it would make sense, but it's become a threat. It went from a compliment to a threat
Okay.
with the PSVR to now it's like holding a gun to your head. You're gonna get PSVR too.
Okay. All right. So that was yours for me. I'll give you another one I have for you. All right.
All right.
Naughty Dog. We talked about them last week. What
Okay.
the next game may or may not be. Let's say their next game is a sci-fi game, right? Confirmed to be a
Okay.
sci-fi game. Here's the thing though. They're not the only ones working on it. You know who's working on it with them?
Oh, it's gonna be something bad.
It's being made in collaboration with CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, that's no. No. Those are two studios where they're so polar opposites that in theory you could be like, well, does it complement each other? And I feel like it doesn't. It's like it's just two fundamentally different studios with different philosophies on how to make games. And listen, if you prefer the cyberpunk method, that's fine. Like I get it. People love open world, but like the polish and the combat for those games sucks in my opinion. And it doesn't the polish and the combat, well, I mean, you can feel how you want to feel about early Naughty Dog, but the combat rules in Last of Us 2.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, they've got to let both of those studios cook with what they're doing. Personally, I'm not eating the dish that CD Projekt Red is making for right now, but leave Naughty Dog alone as well. And it's weird because I'm never like hopeful about what Naughty Dog does next, but then it always ends up being a banger and I'm fine with it. So it's just that one's weird. It's not as visceral a gross reaction as Bloodborne 2, but yeah, that's please keep those studios away from each other.
Okay, all right. What's your next one you got for me?
So this one, it's similar to like your first one for me, but so I put Persona 6 announced, but it's a battle pass game.
Oh man.
Like well,
Like,
you can just say live service as well, but I think that would be hilarious. It's just I can see how much it just bummed you out. You're like,
yeah,
please don't
yeah.
ever
And
let
it's
this
like
happen.
it's like I'm not even like I'm a newfound Persona fan off of Persona 5 Royal alone, but it's my second favorite game of all time. I'm looking forward to Persona 6 whenever it's announced,
And it
whenever
would
it
kill your
comes out.
excitement.
Yeah, I'd be there like, damn. What do you even how? Why? What? I would just be just like you. It's like, how do you even make that into a live set? Like, how do you do this? Well, look how
I
they massacred my boy.
My third one has the wackiest concept yet. This one was the like just kind of eat, throw it in
well,
one.
well,
But
hold on. Save it real quick. Because like,
oh no, I'm gonna let you go for your second one first, obviously, but
oh, okay.
or your third, my bad, yeah, but you know what I
Um,
mean.
But no, yeah, like just like would I buy in on the Persona 6 live service thing? Maybe it would depend on
It-
how it would really
so it's
like I'd be so bummed, but it would really depend on like the
it's
execution, just like you with Bloodborne. Like
so
they
like it'd probably be similar, right? Because those are based off dungeons, and they're like the dungeons are like 20 hours or whatever. It'd probably be like you get a dungeon, we're gonna cosmetic the shit out of all this. Like I'd be weak because there's like romantic options in that game, right?
yeah.
What if some of them are tied back?
Oh no. Oh no.
You have to pay $10 if you want to go out with whoever that is,
Oh no.
and then
Oh
also
man.
reach level 39.
Well, actually, you know what? A template for this might end up being the Persona 5 mobile game that got announced that I talked
Oh
about
yeah.
briefly. Because I mean, we know it's a gotcha type game, so in a sense, similar to like Genshin, like gotcha. We don't know like what elements will be gotcha asked, but I mean, I can imagine that different personas might be like locked behind the gotcha mechanic and all like that.
But see,
But I'm
we
excited
assume
for
that's
that
a
though. I'm
we assume
excited
that's
for
a
that.
combat based spin-off instead of a proper game where it's like everything, all the elements in one.
Well, I mean, even that
That's
one seems like it's a proper game, just mobile. It seems like it. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited for that one based off the limited knowledge we have of it. So, I mean, I my buy-in on a Persona 6 live service game would be maybe depending on how egregious the live service aspects are of it. That's what it would be.
I feel
Okay.
it.
So you haven't made me just like outright reject any of them. Like you've outright rejected the ones I've presented to you. Uh
Yeah.
oh
I
man.
also have I feel like I have less tolerance for bullshit here.
Let's see. Well, let's see if you how you feel about this one. You kind of have an idea about this one because I mentioned to you before we were thinking about all this. So Waluigi, your boy, your man Waluigi, he's getting
Yep.
a 3D platformer.
Yep.
But I had one thing and I changed it to this as we were recording here. But it's not released on their next console. Instead, it is a mobile game.
I mean, I'm gonna play it, but oh, that's you know what? It's the most Nintendo thing. Like that's the most realistic of all of them. Because Nintendo would do that. They hate Waluigi so much. They refuse to put him in Smash. Of course, his one game that he gets is a fucking mobile game.
Well, you know, I actually almost made this released on Nintendo Labo exclusive.
That would have been funny. I'd have played it that way too. I think I'd
Fucking
rather have it that
cardboard,
way.
fucking cardboard, just sitting
Listen,
around
I'll
here.
build some cardboard before, like, because I just the mobile game's gonna suck. Probably it's gonna have gotcha mechanics and whatever. But I would of course play it just so I can. I'd say I've played the Waluigi game. Um, just give Waluigi his own 3D platformer, Nintendo. Just do it already.
Just do it. Just do
That's
the
my get
thing.
hype moment at an E3. Like Waluigi's, but I'm like, yeah.
That's what you're gonna
Especially
predict every single year. Waluigi game, Waluigi game,
just don't make it an off-brand WarioWare. That's all I ask. Make it give
its own
him
thing.
a primary mechanic that's not like that. We let me wander around in a world with Waluigi. If
Yeah,
you want to make it an RPG instead of like have RPG, if you want to get weird with it a little bit, fine. It doesn't have to just be a 3D platformer, though that would seem to be the easiest template. But like whatever you do, just make it like a real game. Not like, oh, here's mini games or some shit, you know.
yeah, yeah. Okay. What's your
All
last
right.
one you got?
All right. Final Fantasy X gets a remake,
Okay.
but it has an obnoxious on ice show that you are forced to watch and attend in order to play the game. I don't know how they get this. You can't play
An
the
on
game. You
ice
can't.
show.
You have to go watch Final Fantasy X on ice, and it's awful. And it's like, we'll say 5 hours long.
Okay, here's the thing.
And you have to pay to see it. You're not just getting free Square Enix passes. You got to pay whatever it costs to go watch like Disney on Ice. And it's just as bad as Disney on Ice, but it's like them trying to reenact Final Fantasy in the dumbest way ever. And you can't fall asleep. They're monitoring your eyeballs before they hand you that code or that copy. And you walk out and you still have to pay for the game itself.
Okay. You everything you were saying is just hilarious.
I told you it was wacky. It's I got weird with this one. I was just like, what's the dumbest thing I can imagine?
It's very dumb. What you wonder what's funnier? I would do it. Not here's the thing. I wouldn't do it for me. Okay.
You
I've
do it for
seen
your girlfriend.
exactly. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You're like, if
As
it's
her and
just
I,
you though, you're not watching that. You're like,
well,
no,
here's
it's
the thing.
not worth the pain.
I don't care about Final Fantasy X enough to do that for a remake. No, I wouldn't. Here's the thing. Disney, I actually took my girlfriend to see Disney on Ice a couple years ago when it was here in Brooklyn. I was like, hey, you want to do this? It'd be fun. Sure. And we did it and enjoyed it, liked it. Final Fantasy X is her bread and butter. It is her life. It is her favorite thing of all things ever. Period. Like Kingdom Hearts is for me. Final Fantasy X is for her times like infinity.
Oh, this is what I should have done for Kingdom Hearts.
So I mean, I would have done it for Kingdom Hearts. I would have done it for myself for Kingdom Hearts. So for her, like here's the thing, it's like okay, she would love to see a Final Fantasy X show on Ice. She'd be down for that. So I'd be like, hey,
Why?
because she loves Final Fantasy X
Oh
that much.
man.
So it'd be like, all right, let's go watch Final Fantasy X on Ice. And then they'll give us our voucher, our you are allowed to purchase Final Fantasy X remake because she also would be down for a Final Fantasy X remake. So doing all this to get a Final Fantasy X remake for
It
her.
was I couldn't tell if
Yes.
on Ice show was going to be more annoying or that they make a shitty millennial style whatchamacallit sitcom that you're forced to watch all of like in its entirety and they do a Final Fantasy X-ification of that. I thought that I was like, but I don't know how that would work. I was like, no, we'll just do on Ice. Cause I was like, what's the most insufferable thing I can possibly imagine? And I went, oh, watching an on Ice show.
So, like the sitcom could probably be annoying.
It'd be
But
like, what if we made Final Fantasy X but Friends and you had to watch because I hate Friends. It's just
I,
like and
I
you have to
liked
watch it for
Friends. I liked Friends, but I
20
haven't seen
hours.
it. I liked Friends, but I haven't seen it since I was a kid. So I actually don't remember. I don't know how I would feel about it now, but I think I'd still like it. But like I'm like, okay, Final Fantasy X is a sitcom. I could see that being annoying, and I probably wouldn't want to watch it. But maybe it'd be annoying in a like so bad it's good kind of way, where like this is bad, but we laugh at it while we watch it. The Disney on Ice thing could be annoying at the same time, but I think I'd be more amazed and intrigued and fascinated by how they adapt the game for an on ice show. If you
And to
get
be
what
clear, like if you want a beer or a soda or whatever, you're paying like premium dollar. You're paying those expensive prices. You want a hot dog, you're paying out your mind for those prices. It's Square Enix, baby. They're getting their money's worth
oh
from you.
yeah,
They
for a
know they
hot
got you there for 5 hours.
yeah, they're gonna be like, all right, you want this B-Sade hot dog? Here, pay $150 for one, just because.
It's 2.5 hour movies essentially with a 1 hour intermission.
She would do it. She would do it, so I would do it for her, and I would do it with her. I would do it with
I'm
her.
weak.
I,
I'm
I
weak.
would. I would. They actually have a Kabuki show for Final Fantasy X that's happening over in Japan now.
Do
Um,
they?
yeah, you know what a Kabuki show is, right? Yes or no?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically a stage play, but the characters are all played but portrayed by men. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
so like my girlfriend, she ordered the flyer for it, like the hey, here's the flyer thingy. So she has it because she has like a nice collection of Final Fantasy X stuff in her room, and like she would love to go and see it. So I'm sure she'd be down to watch
I
Final Fantasy X on ice.
I like how my monkey's paw situation is someone else's like fever dream. Apparently, they're just like everything I want is happening, and I'm just
Here's the
like I
thing,
can't think of something I'd rather do less.
here's the thing. She would be annoyed. I'm sure she'd be annoyed that she had to see the show in order to get the game, but she wouldn't be opposed to seeing the show because she knows she would get the game afterwards. She wouldn't be, and on top of that, she would just wouldn't buy seeing the show anyway, most likely. So it's like, I mean, I got to do this to get that, but I wanted to do that anyway. So whatever, why not? I guess. Whereas for me, I'm like, fam, this is the dumbest thing ever. Why are we doing it like this? Just let me buy the game. Why do I have to see this show to buy the game?
The cutting room floor of ideas was What if we made Sly Cooper, like Sly Cooper gets brought back, but he's a hipster? I thought that one would be funny. But I was
Huh,
like, but it's probably not annoying enough. But like,
that's-
if he just made the most annoying quips ever and he was just unlikable and he had like, he was wearing a bunch of Carhartt,
Oh God. What other ones did you have?
I forget. They were all, I did a lot, just insert PSVR 2 slash
Mhm.
PC exclusive. But I
Another
was
one,
like, it's a great
what
font there.
one that I had on the cutting room floor for me was well, one what I had I thought of for you was the next Zelda sequel. I was like the next Zelda game. Uh, let's say it's a direct sequel to Tears of the Kingdom. So the first time we're getting a Zelda trilogy of sorts. Let's say the next Zelda game is a direct sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, or even just Tears of the Kingdom itself. When it releases, it turns out it's actually an episodic game. So you pay $70 for episode one, you got to pay like $70 for episode two, and $70
I
for
mean, I would
episode
do it.
three.
The worst one, the one you could have thought of would have been if they let the Zelda team move on, but they gave the Breath of the Wild style license to fucking Ubisoft and just let them make Breath of the Wild games with this under Zelda, and they got to keep building canon and just make their awful Ubisoft version of those games. That would be like my own personal hell.
You're making. I mean, they kind of stepped. Yeah, yeah, that would be. I was about to say they kind of stepped into the Ubisoft territory with the towers, but that was the only way they stepped into Ubisoft territory.
Yeah, everything else is beautiful and unique and perfect, and then Ubisoft copy paste just
Here you go. Look at all the icons. Let's make it an action RPG now. And then it's just going to be kind of bland and boring and not all that fun and interesting. It is also going to be 150 hours long, but not a good 150 hours long. It's going to be the most bloated
yeah, it's gonna be the
150 hours you
worst.
could possibly imagine.
And there's probably definitely a battle pass.
Okay, no, it wouldn't have a battle pass because the Assassin's Creed games haven't had one, but it would definitely be a live service game because the Assassin's Creed games have now become like live service games with like,
That's
hey,
right.
here's an
Yeah.
event coming out in like 2 months and so jump in
Yeah,
for
that
that.
garbage. Yeah.
Oh man, that was funny. That was
That was a
fun.
good one. Yeah. Well,
That was a
we'll have to do
tasty
that
one.
again sometime. I can get this. I did all this in like 5 minutes before we did the show, too, people. So I
Yeah,
can
like
get more creative and more weird than a live on ice show. I know I've got it in me. It's just I'm tired, short notice.
yeah, yeah. Two of mine I thought of yesterday at like 10 minutes, but I was like, what's another good one? All right. So yeah, that was fun. We definitely do gotta do that again sometime for sure, indeed. All right, let us do our brief mentions for this week. Not too many of them. First up, the completionist guy on YouTube bought every Wii U and 3DS game because, as you all may or may not know, those stores are closing down, and all the games that you could buy on them will be gone alongside them. So this is a total of 866 Wii U games, amounting to 1.2 terabytes of storage, and 1,547 3DS games, which is 267 gigs of storage. And it's cost him $22,791. He bought these all over the course of a year, had to use multiple Nintendo like eShop cards and stuff to buy them all. So it took quite a bit of time. But he's going to be donating the collection to the Video Game History Foundation, which that's a great move right there. But also, come on, Nintendo. I mean, I get it. Stores got to close and everything, but man, I wish there was just a way, for these games to be preserved some other way that didn't involve someone having to buy literally every single one of them like this.
Yeah.
That's just wild. Now this is a funny one considering we kind of talked about this 2 weeks ago, but
Yes, we did.
apparently, well, not apparently, I saw this. Tony Todd, who is the voice actor for Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2, he kind of tweeted out on Twitter. He responded to someone's tweet. Someone's like, "Hey, I'm looking forward to the game." And he said, "Yeah, big marketing push is coming in August. Game's supposed to release in September. Get excited, get hyped." And everyone was just like, "Whoa, Tony, Tony, what are you doing? What's going on here? You just got the scoops or something?" The Marvel and Sony ninjas about to come down with the NDA hammer. Like, shut up. Apparently, it might be happening in September, not
Yeah.
October or November, like we kind of hoped.
Yeah. I mean, this feels as, I know it's like, oh, it could be speculation. This feels pretty solid, right? Like,
It kind
this
of
is
did to
happening.
me. It felt pretty solid to me when he kind of said that. I mean, it could be wrong, but I was
R.I.P.
like,
Starfield.
All I hope is if it is in September, for the love of God, be the end of the month. Give me time to play Starfield first, make some progress in that, maybe make some content for Starfield, and then Spider-Man come at the end so I can dive into that, play that, and go from there. Don't put them at the same time because then I will have to either balance the two or pick and choose one of the two. And I don't want to have to do that.
There's no choice. It's Spider-Man 2.
It is Spider-Man 2, but I don't want to have to pick Spider-Man 2 over Starfield because
Just
Starfield's
play
gonna be
Starfield
super
later.
cool. I will. But
It'll
like
always be there.
it'll be there, yes. But like I don't want to have to be like, oh, in the back of my mind, I want to play Spider-Man 2. Man, I wish I could be playing Starfield right now. Like, I don't
Oh,
want
that thought won't be entering my head at all.
I mean, you're against Starfield anyway, so it was
I'm
never
not
going to be in your
against
head.
it. I don't like the hype it's gotten based off what we've seen. Single looks bland. Still gonna play it.
Still going to play it.
I can't have an anti Starfield brand if I don't play it. And honestly, my guess is I'll just be indifferent to it. I'll be like, that sure was a game. It probably won't be bad, but it'll just be like, okay.
It was a game of space.
That's my prediction. It's going to be the most 7 out of 10 you've ever 7 out of 10.
And to clarify for people on the internet, because I've seen some people saying, what? So what? We're not going to see anything for Spider-Man 2 until August and then it comes out September? No. That's not going to happen.
Sony's doing something... that. Sony's doing a not a state of play, but a conference or, whatever they call them now.
There's going to be a showcase of some sort.
Showcase, yeah. They're going to do a showcase.
But like, and even if there wasn't, there's no way we were going to go until August without seeing anything for Spider-Man 2. Like, that's just not how marketing works for games, especially big games of that caliber.
You know what's going to be crazy and make it an absolute banger is when they show Spider-Man 2, drop the release date, and then show the Wolverine trailer and give us a late 2024 release date. It's going to happen. I'm calling it now. I told you this too.
Surprised.
I was like, huh?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's late.
Insomniac is just that good. They got that dog in them.
They got the dog in them. Oh, man. Counter-Strike 2 has been announced and will release this summer. It's going to be a free upgrade for all current Counter-Strike Global Offensive owners, and all items that have been purchased in Counter-Strike Global Offensive will transfer to the new game as well. There's more information, but like, I'm not a Counter-Strike player. But Counter-Strike fans are seemingly very hyped for all the changes that have been announced and stuff for Counter-Strike 2. So get hyped if you're into it. Arcane is looking, well, Arcane, when I say that, I mean the team behind Redfall, not the show. They are looking into potentially removing Redfall's always online requirement. It's not a guarantee, though. It's not a guarantee it'll get removed, but they heard people's feedback. They heard the complaints. They are looking into it. I hope it doesn't get removed. Previews dropped this week. I don't know if you read them, or listened to any of them, but people are optimistic on it. And they played solo. They're saying, hey, the solo experience, it's pretty good. So giving me a bit of optimism there for it. Lego 2K Drive has been announced. It is coming out May 19th for all platforms. Just a few little tidbits of information here. It is a, quote, AAA driving adventure game that lets you drive around an open world at your leisure. There are different biomes featuring challenges, races, mini games, and other things you could do. Different vehicles are available for on-road, off-road, and water driving. And that's super cool because like when you're driving on the road, if you go off a ramp and then like land in the water, your vehicle changes in the air to a boat. And then when you drive back onto land, it changes into like a on-road vehicle. And if you go off-road, it changes into an off-road vehicle, like on the fly. It's super cool. You can make your own vehicles with over 1,000 unique Lego pieces. There is single player, co-op, online and offline, split screen co-op, and competitive multiplayer for up to 6 players. Looks like a fun game. Looks neat. I looks like something that I would want to play, but I'm not going to be there day one. There's too many other games and things going to be competing for my attention. But it's something I would definitely play for sure. EA, they announced that they're delisting Battlefield 1943 and both Bad Company games on April 28th. Online services will be shut down on December 8th, but offline modes will still be able to be played. I actually wonder if this also means they're taking it off of EA Play, because, I have Game Pass and those games I believe are on EA Play. If they're being delisted, are they going to be removed?
Probably not, because it's, well, not the Bad Company single players. This is specifically online stuff.
Well, but no, but they're saying they're delisting the games. You won't be able to purchase the games anymore. Online
Um,
services will still be
then
available if you
probably,
have them.
yeah. But I mean, I have a copy of Bad Company 2. I don't think I've played. I think I played a little bit of Bad Company 1, but have I don't have Bad Company 1. But I mean, I guess so what, potentially the price on those physical copies goes up a little bit.
Yeah, I want to play the Battle Company games if I can, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the time to do that on Game Pass before the 28th. I'll see. Maybe I'll be able to.
They're
Last one.
fine.
I've heard they're great. I've heard they're fun,
The
but
multiplayer ruled. I played a lot of Bad Company 2. I also played some 1943. 1943 was actually fun.
nice, nice. Last one, Resident Evil 4's Mercenaries mode is coming on April 7th for those who already have the game. And also, I was shocked to see how many 10 out of 10s that game got this week when the reviews dropped. Like, not saying that I was surprised that people really enjoyed it. I know people were going to love it. I don't think I was expecting it to get so many 10 out of 10s, though. Like, that surprised me. Like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
Capcom killed it.
My review should be coming next week. I've got my copy over here, but I've been because Diablo 4's beta was more time sensitive as far as it
Yeah.
being up after we're recording today, Sunday. So it'll be done after today. So wanted to play that, prioritized that. And so I should start Resident Evil probably like Monday.
Nice, nice. Well, speaking of Diablo 4, Tyler, tell me about Diablo 4. You said you've been playing it a bit. I haven't had a chance to play it because of time and everything. So tell me about it. What
Yeah, I
is your
played it
experience with it?
yesterday on and off. Basically for I don't know, probably felt like 5, maybe 6-ish hours.
Nice.
Me and my girlfriend, she's a big Diablo fan too, so we played that. And I mean, it's Diablo. I enjoyed it. So fun fact, I've never actually this is my first Diablo game proper, but I've played dungeon crawlers my whole life. Um, when you're Catholic and it's not like easy sales like can I get Diablo as a kid, and also it was PC only. I didn't have a PC, at least 2 was. And then for whatever reason, I think I was just like broke at the time, and then some people were like, 3's launch wasn't great, so my logic was like I'll just play later, and then I just never played it later. But I do love dungeon crawlers. um and yeah, this is a dungeon crawler for sure. It's fun. There's some like online stuff like for the beta for sure that needs to be done. Like we were having some revive issues and like an over leveled boss fight. I mean we shouldn't have been in the area anyways, but like yeah, it really some of it was stressed with the lag and then like not reviving one of us properly. It was just there was some issues there as far, but it's a beta, so that's some of that stuff is to be expected.
You had
Also,
trouble getting into the beta because I've heard a lot of people talked about like having issues getting in and then getting kicked out and then getting back in again.
no, actually, ours was pretty seamless. I mean, like waited 30 seconds or just to like, oh, loading, blah blah blah, in
Okay.
queue, and then but I mean, it was maybe a minute process total. Pretty quick,
Nice.
pretty pretty seamless. I mean, like dungeon crawlers are in a lot of weird ways kind of mindless podcast games, which I'm for. Don't get me wrong. My immediate impression was like, oh shit, we are gonna play so much of this game whenever this game comes out
Right.
because I mean, it's fun. It's a dungeon crawler.
For
It
someone
is.
like for someone like me who's never played a Diablo game, that doesn't has I don't think I would say I've played any dungeon crawlers before, but I'm interested in Diablo 4. I've been interested in it since we've seen gameplay for it and everything like that. Like, would you say from your experience that I would like the game, that I would enjoy it? Also, but knowing the type of games I like too, and everything like that.
mm, I don't know if it's like something that I would say you is like your jam specifically. It's not like, oh, that's a you game, but you do appreciate combat enough that like I think you'd enjoy it. Maybe play and do more of a straight run as far as story goes. And like not just want to search the whole map and get all this. And like you're not like obsessed with loot, but you're also not anti loot. It feels like, so it seems like a very
Yeah,
down the middle game. I could see you playing it, being like, that was fun. It's a 7.5 or an 8 for me personally. Um, like dungeon crawlers really aren't like high end as far as looks. Like this game looks good. Cutscenes are pretty, but it's not like when moment to moment action. It looks great for Diablo and for dungeon crawlers, but not like compared to other AAA games.
Of course.
Um, the customization's decent. The like so far the weaponry's been fine. How everything controls and feels is mostly good. Um, there's variance in the class for sure. Like how my girlfriend is playing as a sorceress is completely different than me as a barbarian. And like I hate how slow the barbarian is, but that's kind of to be expected. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's just like if you're not into those type of games, I like for you specifically, I think you could find enjoyment in it and be fine with it. I don't know if you're the kind of person that maybe put like 100 or hundreds of hours into it, um, and find value in the replay of it, but I could see you just like enjoying it for a time. So like ultimately I'd be like, you know what? If it ends up on Game Pass or if it's a sale, for sure check it out. But like, I don't know, 60, $70 for something that you may only play for like 20, 30 hours or whatever it takes to mainline the campaign or, possibly not even finish it. I don't know if that'd be worth it. But I find a
Mhm.
lot of enjoyment out of it, especially like I said, mindless podcast game too. Great for whenever you're working and like, all of the pause feature. I don't know if it's because it's just the online portion, but like there not being a pause button is kind of annoying right now. But
I didn't know that there wasn't. That is annoying, actually.
right now, from what I could like, I was like checking, making sure I'm not crazy, but I didn't Google it. So maybe I'm an idiot. If that's the case, then by all means throw that out. But if not, it could be because like I didn't toggle with the settings, but it doesn't seem like I think this is specifically because it's the beta. There's an option to not have other players like run through your game. And to be fair, they can't fight you or whatever. But even like so you're going through the map and there's portions where it's just like to be fair to highlight them, but like on the map, but you don't know it's an event till you like get there. But it'll be like an event specifically like mini events, which I'm sure they have like in Destiny 2.
Yeah, they have
Where it's
public
like,
events in Destiny 2 where like every
yeah,
every so often, I think it's like every not every 5 minutes, but like there's a public event fairly frequently going on in different
yeah,
regions
exactly.
of every single map in Destiny, on the different planets and all like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's happening here, and it's like, whatever little forge or whatever, and you go through and you like clear out all the enemies. Um, but there's also like players just running through less frequently when it's not an event, but you'll see them occasionally pop up in other parts. So it's like, man, if there's no way to turn that off in the base game, and again, I haven't read a ton because like I saw the Diablo trailer when it first came out, or we talked about it before, and I was just like, yeah, I just want to play the game. I don't need to know. I'm the kind of person that doesn't necessarily need to know like, oh, every single detail beforehand. But if it's on, like, I think it's online only, which kind of sucks.
I think it
But
is.
if also on top of that, there's no way to turn off players coming through your game, that's also kind of annoying. So negative points for that because I feel like it should be an optional toggle thing. Um, but yeah, like I mean, I'm still gonna play it. I'm still gonna put a lot of hours into it. But those are like some of the quality of life stuff that could maybe be the difference between like, oh, we'll play it for 50 to 100 hours versus like playing it for more than that.
How would you say the loot grind is? Because like one of the things you said was you weren't too sure how much I would care or anything about like the loot grind and all like that. And these days, I mean, when it comes to me in Destiny, I was way more hardcore into Destiny back in the day with like Destiny 1 and early Destiny 2. And then I fell off just because other games and then I hadn't got back to Destiny till recently. But I'd say like this with Lightfall, I've kind of I've kind of been in like the grind of like, all right, let me get my power up, let me get my level up and everything. I want to get better gear and all like that. So like I know that if a game hooks me, I can be into the loot grind, but at the same time, I know that I'm also one where I can be like, the loot grind doesn't matter too much because there are other games I want to play as well. So like, I guess it depends on the game. So how is the loot grind here? Does it feel worthwhile? Is it a tedious loot grind? Is it a fun loot grind?
I mean, it's hard to say based off just a beta, but like, I mean, it was fine here. You're getting new weapons fairly like also like we haven't gone through the whole map and whatnot, but like it felt like maybe once an hour I'd find like I'd get kind of a wave of armor and weapons and everything that were more powerful than what I had. So like I don't know because I know some games that's like Like early on, of course, you're finding it way more often, but then like as we started to level up, get higher and higher, it's like less and less common. Maybe an hour's overstating it. I probably definitely not more than an hour, but so you'd go a little bit like, okay, clear out more and more, and you'd be like, well, we're clearly just at an area where there's kind of like a cap on the loot you can find here, so we need to now progress to a different area to start getting better stuff. But like not in an egregious manner where it felt like, oh my god, I can't believe there's nothing better. Um, because of course, we're pretty low level, all things considered. Well, I don't know, I don't know what the level cap is for it, but we're like level 15 right now, I think. Um, but the core, I will say, like the core gameplay is fun. So to me, at least, so if
Yeah.
you enjoy it, it's not going to be as much of a grind. But that's essentially everything, with Destiny. I imagine, like, I mean, I know Destiny 1, that gameplay was fun. So I assume 2, and it's Bungie, so I assume it
Yeah.
it feels snappy and fun. But it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, obviously for Diablo, if you're at the end game going, hours and hours for one weapon, I'm sure at that point it's all subjective. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure it's the same in
Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah.
It's like going whole raids and you get something that's marginally better, or like not even better. That shit, I'm sure it gets annoying. So I'm sure it would get annoying here too. But like for me, it's just like, how much fun will it be? I'm not a like big end game, like let's go on raids kind of person. So I don't know. We'll see how
Same.
much I end up playing of it, and if like that end game stuff is worth it to me. Maybe this will be the game where I give it a shot.
Cool. Well, I'm happy to hear you've been enjoying the beta so far. I'm gonna jump into it for a bit today if I can, if I have the time to. I think I will, but it's like, all right, with that time, what am I gonna play? Am I gonna do more Final Fantasy tonight? Or am I gonna do this or Dying Light? I'm not too sure what I'm gonna end up doing with my time today, but I'm gonna try to play some Diablo 4 beta tonight if I can. If
Plus, it's
even if
free.
only for like right, like I haven't downloaded. I downloaded it so that if I had time, if I could, I would be able to, as opposed to not downloading it, being like, man, I had the time now, but I can't play it because it's not even
Yeah.
downloaded. Um, Cool, cool. Anything else you want to talk about that you've been playing?
No. I mean, I played more Power Wash Simulator, but in order to get out at a reasonable time, I won't say much other than that game still rules. Still having a lot of fun, and there is actually a story to it. It's like it gets kind of a little wild, but I can elaborate. I still haven't beat it, so maybe I finish it up in the next week. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more next week.
I'm curious how the story gets more elaborate and wild. All right, a
There's
power
like a
wash.
corrupt mayor, you know what I mean? Because you get like, because you're texting the clients, or they're
Mm,
texting you or whatever. So it's like all like through that lore, you know what I mean? But there is like lore to it, which is funny.
the final mission: power washing to death, and I'm in the face of the power washing. Yeah, I guess in the interest of getting us on out of here, because I know you still need to rest, and there are things I gotta take care of too as well. I've played a bit of Destiny this week, made some more progress. Final Fantasy X. We just the last thing we did in that was we fought Seymour for the first time, and I swear this has been a beautiful playthrough because I had no problems with him at all. It's beautiful. It's been beautiful. I've been loving this playthrough so far. So going through that. And I started Dying Light 2 this week. I'll talk more about it in depth next week. I'm definitely going to continue playing it this week. Um, right now, so far, of course, still guess you could say like early game. Um, it is still buggy to an extent. I've seen some weird visual bugs
Yikes.
going on. Not like gameplay in terms of like making things harder gameplay wise, like visually, like, interesting bug of sorts.
Still
Um,
though, like a year from release. I mean, I guess I don't know. I never kept up with if they patched it or not, but I assume they probably patched it, right?
they did. I thought, everything would have been fixed, but not entirely. Um, Story wise, it's fine. There are some weird flashback cutscenes, and during these flashback cutscenes, I'm like, man, this reeks of like a lower budget game, but you're not a low budget game. Um, it I'll explain more in depth later. It comes down to like performance and just like the way they're presented. I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah, I know they're not low budget. I mostly was just like, well, because when you're making a game that big, if your budget isn't Cyberpunk or The Witcher, like, yeah, the resources can get kind of thin. It might be easy for them to be like, who cares about the cutscenes? Because people skip them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's see. From a gameplay perspective, gameplay is fine so far. Nothing to write home about. I am a bit annoyed that you don't have certain abilities at the start of the game. Like, why can't I slide at the start of the game? Why do I have to unlock that ability? You know what I mean?
Yo,
Um,
that kind of sucks.
Especially when like your character is a character known as a pilgrim, where in this world pilgrims are people who travel between cities and settlements to bring things to people. And also it's like, if I'm one of these, I've been doing this for years, why can I not do a basic slide? Why is that an
Also,
unlockable ability?
I just feel like it's disingenuous to be like, this is one of the selling points of our game, and then I mean, how deep are you? Like 30 minutes in, or are you like 2 hours? Because if you're like
No,
2 hours in,
I'm hours into the game. I'd say I'm around 5 or so hours into the game.
you haven't fucking unlocked sliding. Oh my god,
Because it's the way, I don't know if you played, you remember the first Dying Light, how
I didn't
you,
play it. No.
oh, I thought you did. So the way you unlock skill points is you have your two trees, your combat and your traversal. You unlock points for them by performing actions for each of those trees. So for combat, you slowly earn a combat point by doing combat actions. For traversal, you slowly earn a traversal point by by parkouring around the place and all like that. So it takes time to unlock the points. And I think like sliding, it's not one of the first things. I think it's like one of the second levels for traversal. So it's like it's gonna take some time to get it. And it's just like, why is that not the first one? And I could
Yeah.
buy why it might not have been the first one in the first games. I think in the first game, your character wasn't like some parkour expert or anything like that. But
Yeah.
in this game, like it's been years later. I'm someone who travels across, nations. I climb up things and all. Why can I not slide at the beginning of this game? Like it's weird how certain features like just aren't there at the start of the game to make traversal more enjoyable or fun. It's odd. Um, but yeah, I mean, so far I'm enjoying it. I'll talk more about it next week though. I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed Dying Light near as I got near the end of that game. But even with that one, like I played the first one for like 10 hours and I wasn't really feeling it, fell off it, came back months later and it clicked with me immediately. So I'm wondering if this is gonna end up doing the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, we will see. We'll see where things go from here. Um, but we'll leave it at that this week. That's it for episode 100 of the Play to Win podcast. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening. If I had fireworks, if I had like the popper, just pop, yay! But yeah, episode 100 down and in the books. Check out the site playtowingames.wordpress.com, home for all the content. Make sure you go over there, check things out. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game for updates on the show and other things that we post on over there on the socials. Subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell there, leave a like, leave a comment, and share the show with everyone. And let us know who you want to be making that Ninja Turtles game. Who do you think would be the perfect fit for it? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
What is the most hilarious monkey paw you can think of?
Also, that too. What is a good monkey paw for you? Also, subscribe on podcast services and leave the 5-star review. It's very, very much appreciated. Tyler, where can people find you?
Good game we lost on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. TikTok might close down, folks. So get it there while you can.
Yeah, I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I was thinking of making a TikTok for Play to Win, and I actually made one, but there were issues with it, and I meant to have my girlfriend try and help me with it, but kept forgetting to have her help me with it. And now this is happening, and it's like, well, might solve my
We
problem
don't know
right
for
there
sure that
entirely.
it's one of those things people have been saying is going away for years now. So,
Yeah.
and those congressional clips are like the funniest thing ever because it's so dumb.
I haven't.
But hopefully it survives. You can find me there, obviously. But if not, you can also find me on YouTube or Instagram. Good Game We Lost everywhere.
Nice. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Well, not Twitter and Instagram, on Twitter. You find me on Twitter at Tyler Miller2496. Yeah, I talk about all types of different things I'm into. If you're into games and anime and movies and stuff like that, you can find me talking about it over there. So thank you all so very much for watching and or listening, and we will talk with you all next time. Have a great one.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.